this is for the legislative candidates. We've heard a number of comments about the inadequacy of investment in education in the state of Idaho, and across the board, I pretty much heard that same theme, with the exception of Representative Gideas. And so I would ask you all to speak to the investment in education in our state, its adequacy, and this idea that we have increased the amount of funding for it, and we anticipate coming up to snuff by 2016 is what I think I heard, but for all the legislative candidates.
Cindy.
I'm sorry, Nancy, that you didn't understand that I do believe that we haven't invested what we need to. But I want to be realistic here, folks. We've just gone through the worst recession since some of you might have grown up in, or at least heard of. So I think it was just absolutely ridiculous to pretend that we weren't going to make some of the cuts we did in the state. We had to. And they were unpleasant, and they've been painful, but we want to get that budget back up. I'm absolutely committed to getting that budget back up. But the reality is we can only bring it back as fast as our economy returns. And so when we talk about improving jobs, we have to be very careful that we don't do anything that jeopardizes our business community while we're adding money back into our education budgets. And so I really think our economy's on its way up, and we're going to be able to get everything taken care of here in the next couple of years. And I believe that my party and 30 new people that I was elected with are committed to that idea also.
Yeah, I think, 60-some% of our budget goes to education, and so when there's a cut, it's going to be felt. When we look at ways of bringing that back, I come back to the idea that the more industries that we have developed in the state, the higher wages that are going to be paid and the more taxes that are going to be paid, and that's one way that we can increase the tax base in our state, as well as increase the income and prosperity in our local communities. And I think that we can move in that direction, especially in our district in northern Idaho here.
Thank you for the question. So, increasing funding for education. We did drop revenue. So there's an economic growth, there's revenue. Revenue is what comes into the state that can go to schools. We have cut the revenue stream at the same time our economy went down. We cut the revenue stream by giving tax breaks to the top bracket of the corporate tax breaks, to the top corporate earners, as well as the top personal earners. That cost us $30 million. We gave business personal property tax. That cost $25 million. We, at the same time as we've had a weak but recovering economy, we have put money into reserves. In my opinion, we have not assessed the appropriate revenue question. Thank you.
I'll try to be very brief, but I concur with Dan, and unfortunately I disagree with my opponent. I think that we have to be honest when it comes down to expressing the numbers and not distorting those numbers. Because really, factually speaking, yes, we've been hurting since 1999, so this goes farther back than my opponent discusses. So this is before the recession. When the recession hit in 2007, we were the only state of the 50 states in the nation to drastically slash education funding. And so now we're seeing these numbers come up, and as we slowly recover in our economy, we have the money there. And Dan, as he specifically mentioned, it's there. But we're still operating on 2007 education funding levels. So we need to be honest with our people and be very realistic and be fair. We have the money, it's 2015, and we can properly apply that funding towards education. Thank you.
The governor's own task force recommended $80 million a year in the next 3 years. Last year, I believe it was $60-some million. I hope and it looks like the economy's on track to do that. Let's put the 80 million in this year. Let's put the 80 million in next year. And I see shakes of heads, that's great. What's really happened though, is at the local level, we've passed these supplementals, and actually it's costing the same to educate these kids. We've just done it at the local level and not the state. The state's shrugged their responsibility and we picked up the slack. And so hopefully, as the state picks back theirs up, we can lower ours. So that's my hope, and if I get elected, that's what we'll push for. So, thank you.
There you go.
Very give me the opportunity to not go last,
Yeah.
so, because everybody has really great points here. So I want to address a couple of things. First of all, WSU took some of the biggest hits in the nation on their reductions of their budgets in 2008 when the recession hit. And so I don't know that it's really fair to say that Idaho was the only state that took hits. I was working at WSU, I was managing a budget there. And so I think we've all felt this. It's been very challenging. I think education is the key to our economy and our success, and we really need to make sure that we're funding it in a way that's fair and equitable to every community, and it's especially difficult when you're in a community like this where Moscow is actually pretty well funded compared to communities like St. Mary's, Plummer, those places that don't have such a big property tax base. So I think that's a really important issue to deal with.
Thank you.